Hey guys, we're going to do another section on geolocation, but this time we're going to implement a Google map. So we're going to pinpoint, we're going to take the information that we got and actually place it on a map. Okay, so to do this you need a Google API key. Okay, so you need to go to code.google.com/APIs/console, and that'll bring you to this developer console. And we're going to be using the Google Maps API version 3. And there's some information here about the API, where and how it's used, stuff like that. So we just want to click over here on API access, and this is where we can get our keys. So I have a key already, but I'm going to generate a new one just for the sake of the tutorial. So we want to create a browser key because we're using client-side language. So we want to get a browser key, and you can put in all the websites, all the domain names that you want to use, that you want this to use this API with. If you leave it blank, then you can use it on any website. So I'm just going to I'm going to leave it blank, and you can see it says any referrer allowed. For instance, this one down here, I have a strict set of referrers, so only these domains can access this API. Okay, so now what we need to do, we'll just keep this page here for now. Let's go back to NetBeans. I have a clear project here, and I have it loaded in Ripple as well. So let's just add in our starter code, and I'm sure you know what this does by now. It throws out the device ready event, and we catch it in this function. So what we want to do is in this function we want to say navigator dot geolocation dot get current position, and this looks very familiar because we just did this. And this is going to take two callback functions, on success, on error. So naturally the next thing we need to do is create the on success function, which will take a position parameter. Alright, now before I go any further, we need to actually include the Google Map API. So up here in our script tags, I'm going to say script type equals text/JavaScript. Okay, and we need an src, which will point to a URL with our API key. So let's go back here, and this is our key right here. We need to include that in our script tag. So if we go to the documentation for the Maps API, you can see an example here. Alright, so I'm just going to grab this, copy that, oh, there's no close script. Alright, so you can see in this URL we have to replace this here with our API key. So let's grab that, copy that, replace this API key. Okay, we want to paste that in, and then we want to set the center to true or false, and I'm going to set that to true. think that should be it. I do want to put just a little bit of styling for this map. So style, you're going to say HTML is going to have height 100%, body no margin, and no padding. And we're going to have a div called map placer, which will have a height of 100% and also a width of 100%. Alright, so now let's get back to our onSuccess method. Alright, so we want to set a variable called LATLNG for latitude longitude, and that's going to be equal to new google.maps lat long, and so we're instantiating a new map object, and this takes a few parameters. We have the position dot chords, and if you remember from our last video, we got these values, and now we're actually putting them to use in a map. So position dot chords dot latitude, and also position dot chords dot longitude. Okay, looks good. So the next thing we want to do is the map options. So variable map options equals, this is going to be a JSON object type of thing, center latitude and longitude. So we want it centered on the latitude and longitude. What else do we want here? PN control false, we don't want that. Zoom control, we'll let our users zoom, so we'll give that a true. Whoop, this should be a comma. So you can set all kinds of parameters. If you go to the API documentation, there's just a ton of information. And we want to say zoom is going to be 16. Okay, so zoom will be 16, and then map type ID is google.maps.map type ID dot roadmap. So we don't want any satellite or anything that by default, and we can put a semicolon here. And now we want another variable called map, and that's going to be equal to new google.maps.map, and inside here we are going to actually put our div where we want the map. So we say document dot get element by ID, and that's going to be map placer. Okay, so that's one parameter. The first parameter is where we want to put this. Now the second is going to be our options. So map options, which is coming from here. I think it's a lot easier to just put it in a variable and then put it here. And actually, to make it even easier to read, I'm just going to take this, we'll say variable, I don't know, map content. Alright, so then all we have to put in here is map content. That looks a little better, a little easier to read. And then finally we want to create our marker variable, marker or object. Marker equals new google.maps.marker. So you can see they treat everything as an object. And this takes some values, so we're going to open some curly braces. Position is going to be our lat long object variable, and then map is going to be map, and that should do it. That should do it for our on success method. Position.chords, longitude, center. Alright. So instead of typing out the on error method, it's just like the one in the last section, so I'm just going to paste it in. So it's pretty much the exact same. We're just creating a string, it's making an empty string, and then if there's an error, we get a switch statement depending on which kind of error it is, and then we're putting the result into the map placer ID. Okay, so the only thing we need in our HTML is that ID, that div. So div ID equals map placer, and that's it. This is our entire HTML body of our page. Okay, so let's first try to run this in Ripple. Okay, so now it seems to be working, but this is not where I am. This is nowhere near. I'm not even sure which state this is. You can see it's working good though. I mean, we can zoom in and out. We can't pan because we didn't let the user do that. You know what? I don't even think we're in. Oh, it's, yeah, so Toronto. I am in Boston, so it's quite off. But it just has something to do with the virtual device. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video here, and I'll continue another video where I actually install this on a physical device. And I guess before I do that, we can go through the export process again. So from Adobe Build, we first want to go to Git and make sure that we're in our application folder, which is test app, and I'm going to do a git add all, and then I'm going to do a commit am, and for a comment we'll just say GeoMaps, and I'm going to push. Alright, so that got pushed to GitHub. Now I'm just going to go over to Build, refresh, and I'm going to go to Update Code, pull latest, wait for these to load. Alright, so I'll download my APK file. I'll just replace this one. And if we go to our computer, I'm going to go to my downloads and test application APK file, copy that and put that, actually my Android device for some reason isn't coming up. Let me try to plug it back in again. Alright, so there it is. And I'm going to put that in the Android folder. Well, first I'll delete this one. Alright, so now it's in there, and now I'm going to start another video showing you how to install it on the device.